Sir, incoming warp signature.
We're being hailed. It's one of ours, the Farragut.
Bond ship. Who's hailing us?
Their captain, James Kirk.
Sam's brother? On screen.
Enterprise, this is Captain James T. Kirk of the USS Farragut, offering assistance.
Christopher Pike, good to see you.
Captain Kirk. Captain Kirk! I'm Captain Kirk! I'm Captain Kirk.
Hey everyone, I'm Brendan Kelleher. Whether you like it or not, Star Trek is the flagship of televised sci-fi. For nearly 60 years now, it's been a constant presence in not just television and movies, but in video games, fan conventions, and other media. To many, Star Trek isn't just escapist entertainment about spaceships and strange-looking aliens. It's been an inspiration. There are people who have literally had their lives changed by Star Trek, being inspired to become astronauts, doctors, engineers, and more because of the adventures of Captain Kirk and his crew. There have, of course, been many different incarnations of Star Trek over the decades. From Captain Picard and the crew of the Enterprise D in The Next Generation, Captain Pike in the prequel series, Strange New Worlds. However, despite what Paramount Pictures, the owners of the property, currently seem to think, there would have been none of these spin-offs if it weren't for the success and huge pop culture influence of the original Star Trek series. And the face of that series, it's not even an opinion, is that of Captain James T. Kirk, played by the legendary William Shatner. It's fair to say that Star Trek as a franchise has had its ups and downs over the years. But even when it's been pronounced dead several times over, like when the original series and Enterprise were cancelled before their time, or when The Final Frontier and Nemesis were critical and commercial flops, it always seemed to make a comeback. Now, I made a video not too long ago about how the current day incarnations of Star Trek, such as Discovery, Picard, and Strange New Worlds, were, in my opinion, too woke. I'm not going to get into that again here. Well, what I want to talk about today is Paramount's seemingly incessant hatred of the Kirk character, specifically the William Shatner interpretation of the Captain of the Enterprise. I want you all to take a look at this photo. This is a photo used to advertise the various Star Trek shows on the Paramount Plus streaming service. I see a lot of characters like Picard, Seven of Nine, Pike, and even fucking Michael Burnham is there. But as Khan Noonien Singh once said,
Where I may find James Kirk.
there's no way this was an accident. This photo makes it absolutely clear that the higher-ups at Paramount have just utter contempt for William Shatner. They included all generations of Star Trek show captains here, and they even put fucking animated characters in his place. Who the fuck is this supposed to be? I have no idea who this character is, but somehow deserves to be on a banner advertising all of Star Trek, but not Captain Kirk? They even have the gall to put the lead of the worst Star Trek show ever made, Michael Burnham, in there, right in the fucking center. They do have Leonard Nimoy's Spock and Nichelle Nichols' Uhura representing classic Trek in these images, but why no Kirk? Look, multiple actors have played Kirk at this point, but William Shatner is the original. He's the one who brought Captain Kirk to life and made him the iconic character he is today. Without Shatner, there would be no Kirk. And without Kirk, there would be no Star Trek. It's as simple as that. Shatner's impact on the franchise is enormous. Jeffrey Hunter played the original Captain Pike in the very first Star Trek pilot, The Cage, back in 1966. When the pilot was rejected for being too cerebral, it was given an unprecedented at the time second chance, with a more action-packed pilot named Where No Man Has Gone Before. Jeffrey Hunter chose not to return, and William Shatner replaced him as the ship's new captain, James Kirk. In my opinion, if Hunter had decided to return, I don't believe the show and subsequently the entire franchise would have survived for as long as it has. Hunter was a good actor, but his portrayal of Captain Pike was very stoic, and I think Shatner brought a much more dynamic appeal to the show. From the moment William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy shared their first scene together as Kirk and Spock in the second pilot, the chemistry between them was just electric. Where No Man Has Gone Before is not just a great pilot for Star Trek, it's one of its very best episodes. Curiously, It wasn't the first episode broadcast, and is often placed fourth in order on streaming services and home media. If you've never watched the original Star Trek, I highly recommend Where No Man Has Gone Before as an introduction to the original series. The Cage is best viewed as a two-part story, The Menagerie, later in Season 1. William Shatner's impact on the history of Star Trek cannot be overstated, as he not only brought the character of Kirk to life, but also helped shape the franchise's identity and legacy. His portrayal of Kirk was instrumental in shaping the character's personality and image. Kirk was originally envisioned as a more stoic and serious character, like Jeffrey Hunter's Captain Pike, but Shatner's enthusiastic and charismatic performance helped create the iconic image of the character that audiences know and love today. Shatner's Kirk was a confident and charismatic leader, known for his unwavering dedication to his crew and the principles of the United Federation of Planets. More famously, Shatner's Kirk was known for being quite the ladies' man. It seemed in pretty much every episode he was romancing every beautiful woman he encountered. And seriously, who can blame him? Hey, they didn't call it the swinging 60s for nothing. So the question remains, why does Paramount hate William Shatner? It seems to me that they are trying to rewrite history, make up for some perceived notion that Kirk represents what is now often referred to today by woke feminists as toxic masculinity. I touched on this subject already in my Modern Star Trek is Too Woke video, but to briefly summarize, ever since the beginning of the Me Too movement in 2017, when multiple women came forward with allegations of sexual abuse from the since convicted former Hollywood movie producer Harvey Weinstein, it seemed to start this chain reaction in not just Hollywood, but in many industries, for women coming forward with allegations of abuse of power from men. While I think this started off as a noble and necessary endeavour, since then we've had the abuse of this movement by many sinister individuals, most infamously by the likes of actress Amber Heard, who accused her former husband Johnny Depp of abuse. We all know the story by now, with Depp's career being almost destroyed by the allegations alone, and it taking literally years and millions of dollars later to gain his reputation back, when it was proven in court that Amber Heard herself was the abuser. Over the last decade, we've seen many Hollywood film studios prioritize DEI, diversity, equity and inclusion standards in their hiring, both in front of and behind the camera. This resulted in people being hired just to check boxes for their DEI standards, rather than their suitability for their jobs, with many of them being activists with very little talent. We've seen this in many franchises, with not just Star Trek, but particularly Star Wars and Marvel, with the quality of their output at an all-time low and just full of woke propaganda, with female-centric casts and a severe reduction of strong white male characters. I personally believe that many of the executives and producers at the likes of Paramount and Disney are mainly millennials who are trying to erase the past. We keep hearing the shill media proclaim the likes of Black Panther as the first Marvel superhero movie to focus on a black main character. Never mind the fact that the likes of Blade starring Wesley Snipes, already did that 20 years previously. And just how can we forget everyone's favourite actress, Brie Larson, whose Captain Marvel was apparently the first successful female superhero movie, completely forgetting that the highly successful Wonder Woman, starring Gal Gadot, came out only 2 years before that. But I digress. I think ultimately what the shill media and these woke executives are trying to do is to portray that traditional masculine traits such as confidence, assertiveness, physical strength, and strong leadership skills are what women should be depicted as having. The only way to do that is by getting rid of, or severely downplaying, the role of straight white men in popular media.
I think it's broken. It's broken. Oh.
The bayonet joint on this oxygen sensor is wide open. Are you trying to kill her?
Oh, shit. Get off the assembly. I got it. Sorry, Commander.
I've dealt with plenty of trigger-happy flyboys like you. You're impulsive, dangerous, and the last thing we need right now.
Just look at Star Trek Discovery. By season 3, there are literally no straight white males left in the main cast of that show. William Shatner's Kirk is the very opposite of this woke ideology. He's the very definition of what they hate. Kirk is a strong leader, assertive in command, physically capable in fighting multiple opponents, and of course, a confident ladies' man. Even Chris Pine's interpretation of Kirk in the last couple of Star Trek movies was depicted as being this way. However, I think a minor controversy which came about in Star Trek Into Darkness, released in 2013, is what began this shift to change the character somewhat for modern audiences. This scene involved the character of Carol Marcus, played by the not entirely unattractive Alice Eve, posing in her underwear, in an entirely gratuitous scene with Kirk sneaking a peek. And there was absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's pretty much in character for Captain Kirk. Apparently, a very vocal minority of feminists complained about this scene, and the producers said they would be more careful in the future. God forbid they show an attractive woman in these movies. It's not like sex sells, right? As I said earlier, it seems that the current showrunners are trying to revise history with the modern Star Trek series. Strange New Worlds, a prequel to the original series, is set on the Enterprise before Kirk took command. While I enjoy certain aspects of that show, series executive producer Akiva Goldsman, acclaimed writer of such cinematic masterpieces as Batman and Robin, has gone on record as to how he has tried to eliminate the toxic masculinity traits of the original character of Pike, who was here played by Anson Mount. Pike seemed to have difficulty getting used to having women on his bridge in the original series, but the character as played by Mount seems to have no problem with having almost his entire bridge crew being made up of women. I have to say, I actually do really like Anson Mount as Pike though. The guy has tons of screen charisma, and it was the positive fan reception to his portrayal of the character on season 2 of Discovery which led to him getting his own show. Of course, they also bring in a new actor, Paul Wesley, to play Kirk in a supporting role in the series. Wesley is a good actor, but this guy is so completely unlike Shatner and even Chris Pine's interpretation of Kirk that they may as well have made him an original character. From what I've seen so far, Wesley's Kirk is a strong leader, but they always seem to have him put down by women, to the point where even Uhura knocks him on his ass in one episode.
I told you, I am not hitting on you.
I also don't get the impression that he's as enthusiastic about the ladies as Shatner's Kirk. You'd even have one episode of him time travelling back to the 21st century with Lon Mooney and Singh. They both share a hotel room for the night, and Kirk doesn't even try to seduce her and spends the night on the couch. I mean, come on! Even when the two characters kiss later in the episode, it's more Lon making a move on him than anything else. As for William Shatner himself, it seems the feeling's mutual regarding Paramount's antipathy towards him and his most famous character. Despite being in his 90s, Shatner is very active on social media. When asked by his fans what he thought about the character's omission from the Paramount Plus promotional images, he said, "It's not the first time. It's been going on for years. It makes no difference to me that a group who think that they are enlightened, or whatever they think they are, obviously feels threatened by the Kirk character. It's a character from a 1960s TV show. Get over it." Overall, I think Shatner has nothing to worry about regarding his legacy. No matter how hard they try, they will never erase the past. The original Star Trek will endure for many generations after he's gone. Star Trek Discovery is coming to an end, and will be mostly forgotten in the space of a few years, being remembered for only being woke trash and an embarrassment to the franchise. Despite the shill media saying otherwise, the likes of Star Trek Discovery and Paramount Plus's subscription service is a massive failure. They sunk a huge amount of money into these projects, and at the time of this recording, Paramount is in severe financial trouble, and their streaming service has never made a profit. Star Trek is supposed to be their crown jewel as far as their franchises go, but it's never driven many people to Paramount Plus, which has only lasted this long thanks to the huge popularity of Yellowstone and its various spin-offs. A television phenomenon that is as far from woke that you can get. At the end of the day, I think Paramount owe William Shatner a huge apology, and if not an apology, to at least be honest as to why they omitted Kirk from these promotional logos. After all, as Kirk himself once said,
"If I can have honesty, it's easier to overlook mistakes."
Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then please give it a like. Consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. Share it with your friends, click the bell for notifications, and let me know in the comments, what's your favourite Captain Kirk moment from the original Star Trek? Most importantly, hope you all look after yourselves, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye for now.